I think that's where I get my strength, of course, from God. I'm a Christian, I pray a lot. My family, we're all Christians. Mom didn't go to school, but the wisdom that God gave to her, she made sure all her children went to school. She would take care of us, take care of us. She was just a beautiful woman. May her soul rest in peace. She went to the Lord in the year 2012. We are 10 in our family, though 3 of my siblings have gone to the Lord, but now we are 7.
Mrs. Muliata is married and has 4 children and 8 grandchildren. She beams as she talks about her family.
I am married to Mr. Stanley Muliata. I was married to him in 1981. We have stayed 1982. We have been together now for 42 years. We've got 4 children, 2 girls and 2 boys, and I've got 8 grandchildren.
It is interesting to learn that Mrs. Muliata was a nurse, then a banker, prior to joining politics.
I went to school. I started my school in Kabwe, a place called Chaka Primary School in Kabwe Central. From there, I went to Kablonga Girls, where I was there for the first 3 years. Then I finished my school in Witikila Girls. In the year 1978, I went to National Service. After National Service, I was a nurse for some time before I eventually joined Bank of Zambia. I worked for Bank of Zambia for 29 years. While I was there, I was in the branch, political branch. I started with the UNIP. We were the youth in the UNIP era, not so much. Then I went into UPND in 1998. I didn't join MMD. I didn't have that zeal about them. Then I used to do political issues at work, but I'll still have time to go and join the main functions of UPND. Then when I retired from the bank, I thought it was time to stand and contest the elections in Rufunsa.
She narrates how her father influenced her to join politics.
Who pushed me to do politics? It was my father. My father was a politician, and that time when it was Chongwe district, Rufunsa included Chongwe district, there were 1. My father was the district chairman of the UPND. Then he taught me, he mentored me. He would go with me in the district to tell me about the many wards that were there, their functions. So I developed this feeling that I really wanted to become a very powerful politician.
Mrs. Muliata has managed to conquer the challenges faced by women in politics because of her strong character.
It's about character. When you have a strong character and you believe in yourself, you know that you can do something. Despite difficulties or challenges, you can face the men. That's what I am. I'm quite tough. I'm fearless. Some people would underestimate, say maybe she doesn't talk too much or what, but I am quite tough. And when I stand to speak to the people that put me in this office, I make sure that the point is gotten to them. They see my vision, focus. It's all about focus. As females, we know that we have so many challenges, but when you are focused and when you know that you have the rights, one thing, we're all humans made in the image of God. At the end of it, I do a lot of prayers I mentioned. So nothing can settle me, must not unsettle any woman who wants to be in politics. So we are protected, one by our Creator, because I believe we've got the 6th sense as women, the 6th sense. So that makes us even more powerful because we can see in the future. God gives us that hidden intelligence that we must use both in politics or wherever we are. So we are quite powerful, and I don't fear challenges. I can stand at the platform and challenge. I'll be able to answer. Thou shalt not fear.
She now talks about her journey in politics, starting off as a youth.
That time was for Anderson Mazoka. We saw that the manifesto he was presenting really carried what the Zambian would want. So it was attractive. And so as a youth and many others, we said, I think this is the right man. He's got a heart for the Zambian people. So this is the right party. And that's how we joined. I was not alone. Where many youth were coming from the youth branches. Yes, so we joined. Were quite a few women, though my friends, like you have rightly asked, some of them dropped because they didn't have the courage, they were scared of the challenges, but some of us went ahead, and here we are today.
Mrs. Muliata was first elected as Rufunsa Member of Parliament in 2016 and in 2021 respectively. She now runs us through the adoption process.
In 2011, I first started. I tried in 2011, though I didn't make it, but I'll tell you, the adoptions at that time, because it was, most people, it was their first time. It was our first time. And perhaps there was a little bit of many men coming to stand. And in my area, we had about 3 other men that stood against me during the adoptions. I think I proved to have been more focused. I knew what I was looking for, and to the questions that were asked, for me it was simple. Financially, it could have been a bit difficult. Some of us ended up getting monies here and there just to meet the costs, so that we could now campaign effectively. It was tough, but I thank God because of the focusedness, the intelligence, and I could say the courage. I was adopted.
How then does she manage to juggle being a minister, member of parliament, wife and grandmother?
Yes, I think at the start I could have been overwhelmed, but now as you go along, you also depend on the people that you work with. Yes, this is why we talk about communications, coordination. You must also, like the roles of a minister. I have 6 districts now, apart from Chirundu that has gone to Southern Province. We need to work effectively with the DCs. We need to work effectively with the councillors. We need to work effectively with the council chairpersons. It makes it easier. There is teamwork. So a role of my minister in the Lusaka Provincial Administration, it's made easier because I also rely on these people. I also demand that they give me reports. I need to know what they are doing. It's somehow to monitor. But when I have to get there, I'll make my presence be felt. I'll tell them what I'm looking forward to, and therefore we cope. Of course, I have to make a lot of visitations to the districts, which I have done, and I am happy, especially now, the time of CDF. We have to see to it, how is the CDF working? How is it working for our people? About my membership, member of Parliament for Rufunsa, same thing. You have to coordinate with the structures, because most of the times when I'm in the office, I rely upon them to give me the reports, to give me how the mobilization is going, to give me how the people are also getting empowered from that CDF. It's not easy, but make my time to visit them regularly.
She pays glowing tribute to her family and well-wishers for their unwavering support.
I have a lot of support, I must say, especially from my own children and my husband, and of course other well-wishers that want to see me succeed in all my endeavors. My husband is the first one. We pray together. He gives me strength. If there's any financial help, if there's any consultation, if there's any advice, he comes through, and that strengthens me. That gives me a vision, focus, that the people behind me that are really supportive. So it gives me courage to do even better for my ministerial job and for my member of parliament job. So my children also, and also the well-wishers. Well-wishers, when I talk about the well-wishers, it's some people that will come to the constituency and think, oh my God, how would you like us to help you? Where do you think we can donate a little for your women or for your youth to do with their skills and all? I've had people that have come through, those that have even built schools in my area, and I appreciate. We still have those people that support me. This is why I was able to even come back in the second term to be member of parliament. It's because of the vast support that I've had from my family and the well-wishers, and of course even the communities themselves in our area.
Mrs. Muliata now talks about how she spends her free time.
When I'm just at home, then I look at myself, I say, oh yeah, I've got a husband, I've got children, I've got grandchildren. Now I'm at home, maybe I've got a bit of free time. What can I do for them? My husband needs my attention. What can I cook for him? Can I just sit with him? My children need me again to speak with them, to give them that motherly love. My grandchildren must be taught, must be guided. This is the time I have. Then I spend a lot of time with them. And of course, we do not forget to rest. Rest is very important for our bodies. A body will tell you that now you need to rest, and if you ignore, I don't want just one day to fall, at no, because she didn't rest, she was fatigued. That's what I do. And I like my garden. I like flowers. So I like to sort of like treat flowers, go in the vegetable garden, also see how, that's how I spend my days. I don't have a lot of friends. I don't. My friends are like my family, my husband. So I enjoy company of my husband and my children. I am not that go kind of person.
For Mrs. Muliata, age ain't nothing but a number when it comes to fashion.
Apparently, my dear daughter, this is what it has been with me. I think having worked at the bank for a long time, you know, banks are places that you go to because you are dealing with the outside world. You have to be presentable all the time. That also motivates your customers as they come. They know that you are dealing with a clean person. They look after themselves, and that is the image that you got to give. Yes, I like to dress smartly. I like to look good. With our age, you just have to keep up the you keep up the face. You keep up the face, because if you're going to say, now I've aged, people will not even want to look at you. The constituents will say, I think now she's had it now. But you must show that you can be clean, you can be smart. Anytime you are called upon, you are ready.
She now has a word of advice to women who want to join politics.
The best is to know yourself. The best is to know yourself. I feel those people want to go into politics. They are motivated, one, because of their character. Strong characters. They may be weak, but they have a vision for the people that they are going to work with, the people that they are going to rule over. You have to have a vision. You must not be forced into something you don't want. And you must not look at it to say, if I go in politics, I'm just going there, maybe I'll be rich or I'm going to make money. That's a wrong motivation. Do not fear the challenges. Challenges will be there. In some areas, men will just frighten you. They will intimidate you, but you have to stand your strength. So I want to advise the women, be strong, be focused, know what you're going there for, to save. And then you must also have a human heart. So women, when you know that you have got that calling, go for it. Prayer.
Well, thank you so much for still being with us on Parliament Television. Business resumes in a moment's time. At the moment, there is no quorum. It is a requirement that a total 1/3 of the total number of members of Parliament are supposed to be present in the House for any business to be considered on the floor of the House. And when business was suspended, the House was considering a ministerial statement that was rendered by the Minister of Health, and it was on the cholera update and the situation and the measures being put in place by the Republican government, the Zambian government. And it was Mansa Central Member of Parliament, Dr. Chubi, who was about to ask a follow-up question. So in business resumes, the member for Mansa Central will continue asking a follow-up question.
And on our order paper for today, we have 10 questions for all answer understanding order 74. Still to be considered earlier. Madam Speaker did make 3 announcements when business resumed at 09 hours.
We still have a total number of 10 questions that are yet to be considered on the floor of the House. Just before the suspension of business, the House was considering a ministerial statement which was rendered by the Minister of Health. The bells are ringing, which means there is no quorum in the House. It is a requirement that 1/3 of the total number of members of Parliament be present in the House for any business to be considered on the floor of the House. So when the quorum is constituted, the Member of Parliament for Mansa Central, Dr. Chubi, will continue asking follow-up questions, seeking clarity from the Minister of Health, who rendered a ministerial statement on the cholera situation in the country and update to the House and the nation on the measures the government is putting in place. Joe, let's look at another announcement that Madam Speaker made earlier on when business resumed at 09 hours.
So Madam Speaker did remind the House that on Friday 16th of February 2024, she informed the House that an orientation meeting for all honorable members had been scheduled for Monday 19th of February 2024, and that the objective of the meeting was to create awareness about the Institute. So following that meeting, it has been brought to our attention that a good number of honorable members were unable to attend because they were attending parliamentary committee meetings that were taking place at the same time.
Noting the interest shown by honorable members and also in order to allow many members as possible input in the process, she informed the House that the second and final meeting will be held on Monday, 4th March 2024, starting at 09:30 hours. The login credentials will be made available in due course. And Madam Speaker urged honorable members who failed to participate in the first meeting to do so on a voluntary basis. For now, we cross over to the floor of the House. It seems like we now have a quorum and the business is about to resume. Remember, the House was considering a ministerial statement which was rendered by the Minister of Health, and it was Mansa Central Member of Parliament who was about to ask a follow-up.
Order. When business was suspended, the House was considering the ministerial statement issued by the Honorable Minister of Health, and the Honorable Member for Mansa Central was about to raise a question on a point of clarification. May the Honorable Member continue?
Thank you, Honorable Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, Let me begin by appreciating the efforts that you and the multi-sectoral team, and in particular the frontline health workers, have put in to respond to this cholera outbreak. In the same breath, let me commiserate with families that have lost their loved ones in this outbreak. Minister, if you analyze the EpiCave, in early December and weeks before, we were recording less than 100 cases per week. And on the floor of this House, we did indicate to government that in the second week of December, we saw a surge. And there was an indicator that this was escalating because we had 4 deaths recorded in a day. Through a matter of urgent public importance, government was urged to escalate the response. Minister, we saw escalated interventions, including invocation of the Public Health Act much later. Would you, as part of lessons learned, consider in the future ensure that the response is mounted in a multi-sectoral manner, in an escalated manner, much earlier to avert preventable deaths? Would you ensure that the efficacy of the response is enhanced by being timeous and being sensitive to the data that is coming out from the Zambia National Public Health Institute? Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. We shall add 10 minutes to this segment. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable, for your follow-up question. Madam Speaker, the fact that members come here and make statements and assume that the government is not doing something about it is wrong. The Honorable Member who has made this comment, for example, thinks that by December, when he came here to say accelerate, he thought we were not doing something. Let me say that we're doing something about it. This is why, even when it comes to issues of COVID, anthrax, and now cholera, if you look at the effectiveness of our response in the said period compared to when they had that problem and when we had that problem, you will see that we did much better. Extremely better. So this business of people coming here saying, we told you, there's a document, we told you, is really, for me, doesn't help us. So the answer is simple. We did take precautions from the same month of October, not December, no. And we announced that we had 2 cases. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Lufubu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, looking at the history of Lusaka, you will find that those unplanned areas like Kanyama, deliberately the government did not plan for them because they were considered not habitable. The water table is too high. The toilets, no matter what kind of toilets you do, they will still mix with the water. And we've got boreholes in these areas. Don't you think, Honorable Minister, it would be helpful for government to deliberately buy chlorine and other chemicals that would help purify the waters in readiness so that we do not get to lose lives? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable, for your follow-up question. Maybe let me use this opportunity to just give a little bit more information in terms of the activities, looking at that question. First of all, maybe just to update the House on the current response activities. First of all, we are continuing with the case management at community level. And of course, we are going to be increasing the number of oral rehydration points and also strengthening the referral system. We will continue supplying safe and clean water for the next 12 months. We will continue to bury all shallow wells. We will continue the garbage collection. We shall enhance development control to prevent mushrooming of unplanned settlements. And we shall also implement the Health Cities Initiative. We will continue with community engagement and risk communication. We will continue with the environmental health interventions, develop a database of public and private premises not meeting public health minimum standards, water quality monitoring, and legal enforcements. Further, there will be need to expedite the amendment of the statutory instrument to completely ban the use of plastics. There will be need also to consider procurement of 4 environmentally friendly incinerators to enhance community solid waste management. In the medium term, we shall continue with community engagement, and this will be kick-started by His Excellency the President. We shall continue with community engagement by ministers, members of council, members of parliament, and all other stakeholders, traditional leaders and church, in order to ensure that there is no recurrence. There is what we are calling the resettlement and urban renewal areas which I talked about. There's land identification for resettlement, and there will be compensation of willing landowners and acquisition of illegal properties. There will also be developed long area plans, including capital investments and implementation plans for the unplanned settlements, construction and renovations of roads, health, water and sanitation infrastructure, drainages and community waste management such as recycling of plastics and cholera hotspots. And the first areas for the upgrade will be Kanyama, of course, followed by George, Matero, Mrs. and Chawama. In upgrading Kanyama, Chivolia should also be upgraded from a security and sanitation perspective. There's also need to address the emerging crisis due to unplanned settlements in rural areas, including fishing camps. And of course, we're also looking at health infrastructure. Consideration is being taken by the minister at the moment to look at whether Kanyama First Level Hospital should be expanded, or whether we should build a hospital, a similar hospital in Chilanga as a district, consider Chilanga as a district. All those issues, we are taking them into consideration. The issue of manufacturing of vaccine is what #1 agenda by His Excellency, where he's been pushing that in the next few years we should see a local manufacturing of vaccines and medicines and medical supplies. The Ministry of Health is already engaging China and India on these issues. So I can just say that the SI was also timely to prevent deaths, and we have to emphasize long-term plans. Thank you. I hope that has answered your specific question.
The Honorable Member for Kasenengwa.
Madam Speaker, I appreciate the opportunity to ask a follow-up question. Madam Speaker, through you, the Minister of Health has made very good pronouncements here, assuring this House that they will make some improvements in highly affected places like Kanyama, maybe Garden House, and so on. Those, Madam Speaker, those projects need a lot of money. They are capital projects. What I wanted to find out from the Minister of Health is whether her ministry has got a budget line for these projects to take off, of relocating people, putting up a better water reticulation system and sewer system and so forth. Do we have a budget line for that? Because there's an assurance that these projects or improvements will start this year. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Maybe before the Honorable Minister responds, there is a point of order. The Honorable Member for Shiwangandu, what is your point of order?
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, and it's good to see you back.
Madam Speaker, the point of order I'm raising should have been raised during one of the Vice President's question time, but as we have been guided, we have to wait until that segment is done. Madam Speaker, Article 91 of the supreme document of the land, the Constitution, provides for the head of state and government and commander-in-chief of the armed force, of the defense force rather. Madam Speaker, there is only one gazetted residence and office for this particular head of state. In our response to the question posed by the Honorable MP for Wacha, our Honor responded that there is no law that requires the head of state to occupy State House. For avoidance of doubt, Madam Speaker, that State House is strategically located. That's why you see the routines that take place between the State House and the barrack next to it is for a purpose. This August House, Madam Speaker, in each fiscal year appropriates funds to Head 01 State House for utilizing at this particular gazetted residence and office. Was Honor the Vice President, therefore, in order to mislead this August House, which appropriates funds to one State House and not another residence, and Madam Speaker, all the past 6 heads of state have made sure that they take position of that. Was she in order, Madam Speaker, to casually respond to that pertinent question which the Honourable Member of Parliament for Wacha posed to our Honour, because it's her who informed this August House that immediately the renovations were done, the head of state was going to move into his designated residence. This happens everywhere, Madam Speaker. All the presidents that moved to the White House have got residences in the US. It's the same number 10 street of the United Kingdom. Why should order, Madam Speaker, to mislead this August House in the manner she did? I seek your serious ruling.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I think Her Honor, the Vice President, adequately answered the question that was posed by the Honorable Member for Wacha. And she stated that the President is safe wherever he is. I think the VIP provided the government position on this matter. That is by ruling. The Vice President was very clear on that. If we are not satisfied, I think we can visit Her Honor the Vice President and compare notes. Because I think what she stated in the answer that she gave in this House, it was so loud and clear. We make progress. The Honorable Minister of Health, you can respond to the Honorable Member for Kasenengwa, unless if you've forgotten the question. Okay, the Honorable Member for Kasenengwa, can you summarize your question?
Thank you one more time, Madam Speaker. I was saying the Minister of Health has made assurances here that they will start some projects in those affected areas of making improvements. Those are capital projects, Madam Speaker. They will need quite some bit of money. Do we have a budget line for that? Do we have money budgeted to either make improvements, boreholes, the water, improving the water reticulation system and sewerage system, and relocating people to other areas? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, that's why I talked about what we are currently doing as ongoing, what we plan to do in the medium, and what we plan to do in the long term. And I also mentioned the concept of multi-sectorial. Under the leadership of our Honor, the Vice President, we have a multi-sectorial. And there's what you call budget realignment. You heard yesterday the President talking about budget realignment, even to address the drought. And those are the things we are going to be doing. And of course, there will be budget mobilization as well as we move forward. Thank you. And this is not under Ministry of Health. This is under the Office of the Vice President. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take the last member, the Honorable Member for Chama North.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Minister of Health, for that ministerial statement. Minister, you mentioned that more than 1 million Zambians in the hotspot areas have been vaccinated. I want to find out when did these vaccines arrive in the country? And I want you to confirm, because we are told that these vaccines arrived in the country a long time ago. But why did you have to wait until there was a cholera outbreak? That's the time we started vaccinating, instead of vaccinating the people much earlier when we had these vaccines in the country. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you very much. Madam Speaker, I did announce to the country that Zambia had requested for 3 million doses of vaccines for the hotspots. We had a response from the UN, and we received 1.3, I think 1.3 million that we received from the UN. And when we received it, we gave it out. Within 2 weeks, that had exhausted. But when you look at the numbers, you find that we vaccinated more than that 1.3. Let me just look at the document. You discover that we vaccinated more than 1.3 or 1.7. And the reason why the number is higher was because we had a bit that had remained from the previous vaccination in stock. And so we combined it together. We were using that in an indiscriminate manner, meaning giving those that were at very high risk, like health workers and so on and so forth. So it is not true to say that we had so much vaccines which were just lying. No, that is not true. And I also did announce at the end of the month of February, we're expecting another consignment, which will be the remainder, and again supported by the UN agencies, and that would then also now use that to also vaccinate other hotspots, like on the Copper Belt, in Southern Province, in Eastern Province, and Copper Belt Province, and Central Province. So the facts are that we did not have the vaccines. We normally, even now, when I say they are finished, maybe they can be 10,000. I mean, maybe 1,000 vaccines somewhere, maybe in a particular facility. We would have no reason to keep them when we need such things. Thank you.
Thank you. I would urge the honorable members, all of us, to continue working very hard to avoid future outbreaks of this terrible disease. It's all our duty, not only the Ministry of Health. Thank you. We make progress. Questions for oral answer under Standing Order number 74. The Honorable Member for Kabwata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 256.
The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Honourable Member for Kabwata, Mr. Tayengwa, asked the Minister of Health whether the public health nursing course is classified as a specialist course. B, if it is not classified as such, why? Madam Speaker, our response is as follows. I wish to appreciate the Honourable Member for Kabwata constituency for bringing attention to the matter of the public health nurse program. Allow me to provide clarity on this essential specialty within nursing and public health. Public health nursing is the practice of promoting and protecting the health of populations using knowledge from nursing, social, and public health sciences. It is a specialty practice that bridges nursing and public health, focusing on improving population health through prevention and addressing multiple determinants of health. Often used interchangeably with community health nursing, public health nurses work at various levels, individuals, families, communities, and systems to promote health equity and well-being. Madam Speaker, the public health nurse course is categorized as an education and training program under the Nurses and Midwives Act number 10 of 2019. Section 2 of the Act defines specialist as a nurse or midwife who has attained postgraduate qualifications and is authorized by the Council to practice as a specialist with advanced expertise in a particular branch of nursing and midwifery practice. Madam Speaker, based on the definition of specialist as prescribed in the Act, the Public Health Nurse Program or course is only classified as a specialized program course at postgraduate level, which is at master's or doctorate level. Madam Speaker, regarding question B, as stated in A, the public health nurse course is recognized as a specialized course only at postgraduate level, which is a master's or doctorate. The recognition of the public health nurse course as a specialized or a specialist course only at the postgraduate level, master's or doctorate, is grounded in the curriculum content for these qualifications. The public health nurse postgraduate qualification provides a more detailed and comprehensive understanding of public health nursing. It allows practitioners to delve deeper into specialized areas, research, and evidence-based practices. Madam Speaker, while recognizing the importance of public health nursing training at all levels, the decision to reserve specialist status for postgraduate qualifications ensures that practitioners attain the necessary depth of knowledge and skills to excel in their specialized field of public health nursing. Thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honourable Member for Kabwata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister, I just wanted clarification because if you look at the midwifery, we have some midwives who have actually been employed by government and they've been actually elevated to receive a salary scale of salary scale number H. And yet the public health nurses, some of them when they were employed, they were receiving salary scale number H or so. But all of a sudden, we don't know what has happened. We have seen that they have been downgraded to salary scale number G. What could be the justification of that?
The Honorable Minister of Health.
I'm not aware that people have been downgraded. And since you brought this matter, this supplementary question, as a supplementary question, Madam Speaker, will need to get back and consult, because the issue of grading and grading various staff in the various sectors is done by the Public Service Management Division and not by the Ministry of Health. But of course, they consult us. So let me get more information, and maybe the Honourable Member can come through. Thank you.
Next question, the Honourable Member for Wacha.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Question 257.
The Honourable Minister of Youth, Sport and Arts.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The Honourable Member for Wacha, Mr. Mshanga, is asking my ministry whether in A, the government had authorized the Finjin Managenius Group to train the youths across the country as financial counselors. In B, if so, how many youths were targeted in each constituency? In C, whether the candidates were required to pay for the program. In D, if so, how much was charged per candidate? In E, why the payment was required? And in F, what the government's role in the program is. Our response, Madam Speaker, is that Finjin Managenius Group in A was indeed authorized to train the youth across the country as financial counselors by the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development through minute number MLGRD/101/4 and dated 6th February 2023. And the National Assembly also through minute number NAS/1/21 dated 23rd June 2023 and was issued to the group. Further, Madam Speaker, it should be noted that the ministry came to know about the group through the parliamentary question from the Honourable Member of Parliament, Mr. Mshanga, seeking clarifications regarding the group. Question B, the answer is as follows. Finjin Managenius Group targeted to train 25,000 youth countrywide. However, the target per constituency was not uniform and was dependent on the population of the constituency and the number of the youth applying to be trained as financial counselors. Question C, our response. Madam Speaker, it should be noted that the candidates were required to pay to enable them undertake financial literacy training program. D, the area member of parliament may also wish to note that each candidate being trained as a district financial counsellor and as also just a financial counsellor were expected to pay 200 kwacha before commencement of training. In E, our response is the 200 kwacha payment was required to facilitate provision of financial literacy training materials and payment of facilitators. And the last one, Madam Speaker, the role of government in this program is to merely identify and recommend the youth to undergo training as either district financial councillors or just financial councillors. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honourable Member for Mukushi North.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honourable Minister, for the responses that you have given on this matter. Are you aware, Honourable Minister, that other than the 200 kwachas which were collected from the youths, there were also 87 kwachas which were collected from the marketeers and indeed small-scale traders that were trained by these youths who were trained by Finjin. If you are aware, what is the position of government on this matter, on the 87 kwachas? Is it part of the agreement which is actually in the MOUs which were signed by Finjin and government? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister of Youth, Sport and Arts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honourable Member, for that follow-up question. Madam Speaker, we are very much aware of the 87 kwacha. That's where I'll start from. And I also want to indicate that this is a program that have gone well apart from Mukushi. Because in Mukushi, we had councillors who were engaged to train marketeers in financial literacy, but they were not paid. I would say they were delayed in getting their pay. And as I'm talking to you now, those issues are being resolved. In fact, some of them have really started getting their pay. Now, when we talk about the 87 kwacha, Honourable Member, I said the 200 kwacha was paid to Finjin Group because of the facilitation when it came to financial literacy. Now, the 87 kwacha which is being paid by marketeers is the money that they are paying these district financial councillors. Each district financial councillor is getting 1,800 kwacha from the same 87 kwacha which marketeers or small order businessmen and women are paying. So we are very much aware of the 87 kwacha. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Chubi.
Madam Speaker, the Minister did indicate that the selection plan of the youths was based on population density. Is in a position to tell the House of how that 25,000 was distributed across the nation?
The Honourable Minister of Youth, Sport and Arts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want, Madam Speaker, to indicate the fact that our role as government, first and foremost, is just to help in identification of the financial councillors. And members of parliament, it is just that as members of parliament, sometimes we feel we are not part of government. So if members of parliament are involved in identifying these councillors, then we are very positive that it's government. So that's why we said government. Not necessarily that the Minister of Youth and Sport has sent people to go identify these financial councillors, but through members of parliament and through a minute from National Assembly, I believe that as government we are playing a role. So, Madam Speaker, I may not be able to go into the nitty-gritties of what this company is doing, because I think our role is very, very clear just to identify. So this is the information that we had to extract from a Finjin group. So I may not be able to tell how many, as I said in my earlier submission. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Wacha.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. Minister, since the authority to train the young people was given by the government through Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, is there any memorandum of understanding signed between the government of the Republic of Zambia, either through Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, or your ministry, a minister? I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Youth, Sport and Arts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honourable Member, for that follow-up question. As I had indicated in my earlier submission, that we came to know about Finjin Group through local government and also through a question. That's why we had now to look around and see some of these minutes I had referred to. The Ministry of Youth, Sport and Arts have not signed any MOU with the Finjin Group, but I think I needed to consult further if there was any MOU that was signed between local government and this particular group. Right now, I may not be able to tell. Maybe I would like to invite Honourable Member maybe to come to our offices so that we'll be able by then to provide more information about what he has asked about. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Kabwe Central.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Minister, I'm happy you have confirmed that there's a 200 kwacha that we are aware that our children were paying for training. Now, I want to find out whether there's a supervision from government to see how Finjin is training our children, because what is obtaining is that children, they pay 200 kwacha. For example, in Kabwe, they had 120, they raised 24,000, but when it came to training, they only give a financial coordinator, was only given 3,500 to train 120 youth in one day. What kind of training can they give? So are you supervising Finjin, the type of education they are giving to our youth? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Youth, Sport and Arts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honourable Member, for that important follow-up question. Madam Speaker, I think the background is very, very clear. I still want to repeat that we came to learn about the Finjin Group from the question that was asked by Honourable Mshanga. So from that question, we started now asking questions. That's how we had to get even a minute under local government and also a minute from National Assembly. So I think our preoccupation for us was to make sure that at least our marketeers, our small order farmers are able to be engaged when it comes to financial literacy. So we couldn't go into those details to find out how they are using the money, because I think our role was very, very clear to help in identifying the financial counselors. We couldn't go beyond the role of just identification. I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member from Pika.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, before I ask my question, please allow me to send my commiserations to the people of Tanzania on the death of their former head of state, Ali Hassan Mwinyi, and also to thank them for having not harassed or insulted their former head of state when he was alive. That is the way it should be everywhere, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Finjin publicized that they were looking for district financial counselors. Following that, a number of our people turned up, including in Mpika.
And they shortlisted that perhaps to 25,000, which was their target. Looking at the contribution that they had asked, which is 200. Imagine, Madam Speaker, if 100,000 people had turned out, we are talking about 20 million for Finjen. In the same vein, Madam Speaker, there is another institution called ICOF. It went out looking for our youths, purporting that they are the training which our youths needed to undertake. And our youths paid a lot of money to that ICOF program. Madam Speaker, it is also a failure. I want to find out from government through the Minister of Sports, what measures are you putting in place to ensure that these institutions are not scamming our youths? They are not taking advantage of the high unemployment rate and go on the ground to scam our youths of their hard-working money. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Youth, Sport and Arts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Honorable Member, thank you very much for that loaded question, I would say. Madam Speaker, I want to state that this Finjin group is an affiliate of the Bank of Zambia, first and foremost, when we had to start checking. It's an affiliate of the Bank of Zambia under financial redress. They help Bank of Zambia in financial redress training. So we are very sure that indeed they are very credible. That's number one. Number two, Madam Speaker, the Member of Parliament had also to talk about something else, the ICOF program. Madam Speaker, this is a program which is domiciled in the Ministry of Youth. It is very different from the Finjin group. And this is a program that is there to help the vulnerable families, those that may not have the capacity to take their children to colleges and other universities. So that is an important program we should not even politicize. And I believe it has helped a lot of people. Indeed, when you start something, it may also have some teething issues. By the end of the day, these issues are resolved. Now, coming to the issue that we are discussing today, I indicated and I want to repeat. We came to know, Honorable Member, about Finjin Group through a question from Honorable Mushanga. But as a responsible government, we had to start digging deeper. That's how we came to know about the 200 kwachas that our young people are paying. In fact, it's not only the young people, even those small farmers and also marketeers are paying. And I believe that these marketeers are not part of the Ministry of Youth and Sport. But as a responsible government, we had to thoroughly check what is obtaining. So if people are multiplying 200 kwacha by I don't know which number, I may not go into such details, Madam Speaker, because our role is very clear, as I stated. And I believe that these people were called to some training, and some of them are happy that they have attained the financial literacy. So I think for us that is very, very important for marketeers. And I believe that because there is a question now from Member of Parliament for Mpika, I'll be able to dig even more deeper so that we understand this particular group. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I'll take the last member who has been on the list. The Honorable Member for Wacha.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And Minister, thank you very much for the responses. And it is good that your Minister and Minister of Local Government and Rural Development came to know about the activities of Finjen through the question that we are discussing on the floor of the House this morning. Honorable Madam Deputy Speaker, like in my constituents, more than 150 young people have been trained. And we are talking about more than 28,000 kwacha collected from these young people. As submitted by the Member of Parliament for Kabwe Central, this organization raises, for example, Madam Speaker, 24,000 kwacha. And then during the training of the young people, only 5,000 kwacha is released. And also after the training, like in my constituents, I'm giving an example of my constituents as a perfect example. These young people, Honorable Minister, have been trained, but at the end of the day, there is no activity in terms of what these young people were promised after the training, that they are going to carry out some works as district councillors or financial district councillors. So now that you know about this organization, Honorable Minister, FINGEN, how are you going to come in as government to help these young people? Contributed money, they've been trained, then at the end of the day, they are very expectant of like getting employed. And it is very interesting, Madam Speaker, that in some cases, like submitted by the minister, in some constituencies, already young people are working and they are getting 1,800 kwacha. So in case of those who are not yet working and no activities, how are you going to come in as a government to help these young people? I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Youth, Sport and Arts.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. As I said earlier, that now that we know that there could be some issues over this particular program, we are going to call this group, sit down and see how best we can resolve some of the issues that have been raised by honorable members. I submit.
Thank you. My apologies to the two honorable members. We have to make progress. We spent a lot of time on this question. Next question, the honorable member for Mitete.
Grateful, Madam Speaker. Question number 258.
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. Mtero asked the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development, A, when the government will tar the Katunda Lukuru Watopa Mumbeji Road in the Western Province. B, what the cause of the delay in commencing the project is, and C, what the time frame for the completion of the project is. Madam Speaker, we answer as follows. A, the government will upgrade to bituminous standard the Katunda Lukuru Road when the preparation of the detailed designs for the project has been completed and engagement of the works contractor. The delay in commencing the project has been due to financial constraints. The time frame will be known once the detailed designs for the project have been completed. Madam Speaker, this question came a long time ago. An update is as follows in terms of this question. Government, through the Road Development Agency, floated the tender for the engagement of the consultant to undertake feasibility studies and preparation of the detailed designs for the required works on the Katunda Lukuru Road on 16th February 2024. It is envisaged that the consultant will be engaged in the second quarter of 2024. The actual scope of works required and engagement of the works contractor will be determined once the feasibility has been undertaken and the detailed designs have been prepared by the consultant. Funds in the sum of 20 million kwacha have so far been provided in the 2024 road sector work plan for the works on the Katunda Lukuru Road, and more resources may be allocated depending on what the feasibility study and detailed designs will reveal. In the interim, the Road Development Agency is carrying out holding maintenance to ensure that the road is motorable from Katunda Junction to Atopa Mumbeji as a short-term measure. An additional of 10 million kwacha has been allocated for interim works. Thank you.
Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Mitete.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much. To start, we appreciate the New Dawn government for the freedom of speech in Zambia, because out of it, you are able to know the characteristics of former and current leaders of Zambia. Minister, thank you so much for that response. Indeed, on 16th of the last month, it was in the papers. What it says is design review, meaning that design could have already been taken, and then supervision of construction, that consultants to be made. They take home, and what Mangango people, Lukulu, Zambezi, Mitete, Kabompo, Manyinga are expecting is the supervision of construction to bituminous standard. Kwa hae, lubula kubea tala, kuhaka hotala. Is it that the design was already done and they are just
Honorable
doing?
Member, what is kubea tala?
Kubea tala mama kuhaka ho tala, meaning raising it to bituminous standard. So what do you say bituminous home? Zero zivaho kitala. Minister, thank you that in this quarter it shall be done. The supervision of construction, when is it starting? That's the main thing we are waiting for. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
I'm not quite sure how I will answer that question. When the supervision will start, when they start, there will be supervisors there. Thank you.
Has the question been answered? The Honorable Member for Mitete.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It has been answered to say when they will start, then the supervision will also take place.
Thank you.
So it has been
Attended to.
attended to.
Thank you.
But when will that work start?
Is that your second question? You can go ahead with the second question.
When will the start? Thank you.
The Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
I think I was talking about the second quarter of 2024.
Thank you. Next question, the Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 259.
The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Kalabo Central, Mr. Miuti, is asking the Minister of Health what measures the government is taking to retain medical personnel at health facilities in rural areas. Our response, Madam Speaker, is as follows. The House may wish to know that government provides salaries for all its workers serving in both rural and urban settings. In addition to salaries, government provides for duty facilitating allowances for all medical personnel working in the health facilities, both in the rural and urban areas, which include, among others, the following. 1. Health personnel shift differential allowance. 2. Commuted night duty allowance. 3. Infectious health care risk allowance. 4. Leave travel benefits. 5. Meal allowance. And 6. Settling in allowance. Additionally, medical personnel serving in rural and remote areas receive rural and remote hardship allowances, respectively, recognizing the challenges they face in remote locations. Madam Speaker, going forward, the Ministry aims at constructing staff housing with appropriate energy sources and water reticulation for every health center that shall be constructed. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honourable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. One of the challenges which the workers face is transport. I haven't heard the action the government has taken to help the workers in terms of transport. Transport, like they have to ferry drugs, lodging documents to head office. What is the government doing about it?
Thank you. The Honourable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honourable, for your follow-up question. Madam Speaker, according to the collective agreement that was signed between government and the government of the Republic of Zambia and the Zambian Union of Nurses, which was signed on the 28th of November 2023, some conditions were to apply effective 1st of January 2024. That is housing allowances, which were supposed to be paid at the rate of 20% of their monthly basic salary, and also transport allowance, which was revised, and that it would be paid at the rate of 20% of the monthly basic salary with effect from the 1st of January 2024. So I want to believe that the issue of transport allowance is supposed to be also effected through a 20% of their basic salary. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Overall, the management of workers, those who are serving in the rural areas, vis-a-vis the rate at which those payments are done. It has been observed, Honourable Minister, that there's extended delayment in terms of honouring, paying those allowances to the workers. What is it that the government will put in to make sure that there is no exaggerated delayment for the workers to get their dues? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Considering, Madam Speaker, thank you. Considering that the effective date was 24th of January, and now we've just finished February, we're in March, I need to check myself to find out whether nothing has been paid. And I'm getting this question today. I'm sure it was done maybe some 3 weeks ago. I'm not sure whether the honorable member has also counter-checked to see whether the payments have since been effected, considering that government dates for payment is normally from the 21st of the month. So we need to check and see and find out what the real issues are. But what is good is that at least we know that there was an agreement to effect transport allowance and also to give other allowances just to ensure that we retain our health workers who indeed go through hard times in the rural setups. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Chubi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also want to pass my condolences to people of Tanzania who have kept that president in a very good state and with a lot of respect until he has passed on. I pass my condolences to them. Madam Speaker, I want to ask the minister based on the following. The more distance you go away from Lusaka and Copper Belt or the urban areas, the more expensive commodities and other services become. For instance, as we speak, Chubi, which doesn't have a filling station, a 20 liters container of petrol or diesel is going at 900 kwacha today, not any other day. And then you find that these teachers and other health workers have been trained from the same schools that the urbanites are trained.
Honorable Member,
yes.
We are looking at question 259, which doesn't talk about teachers. It's talking about to ask the Minister of Health what measures the government is taking to retain the medical personnel.
Madam Speaker, I just gave teachers as an example. I am just talking about government workers, especially health workers in rural areas who are sharing the same conditions with the health workers. So that was just an example, Madam Speaker.
Okay, but let's stick to the question. The medical
I'll stick to the question. The medical personnel in Chubi, like any other government worker, is going through tough times, such that even what is called the rural hardship allowance cannot help them, because some of the workers, the health workers, who are scattered in different areas, for instance, swamps, they have to go and buy commodities in Kasama, some of them in Mansa, and the costs associated with such are quite astronomical. Is government thinking of revising the rural hardship allowance for health workers?
The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I was talking about nurses and health workers in particular, and I did respond that regarding health workers, a collective agreement between government and the unions was signed last year towards end of November to December, and that there were some percentages which were revised. So all these revised salaries and percentages means that allowances also adjusted accordingly, because once the basic salary is revised, it means that all the allowances which are a percentage of the basic salary goes up. So, the issue of petrol being expensive here and there is taken, that those who are in the rural areas have those issues. That's why they give them a rural hardship allowance, which is not given to the town people, those that are living in towns. Thank you.
I'll take the last member, the Honorable Member for Pemba.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the Honorable Minister, especially on the fact that there are plans to construct houses for health workers in line with some infrastructure or the health facilities that will be constructed. Honorable Minister, we have a very serious challenge when it comes to accommodation, and I strongly believe it's not just your ministry. This problem is across when it comes to the issue of accommodation. Now, my question, Honorable Minister, would you consider the P model in terms of constructing these houses so that we can quickly sort out this challenge? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Health.
The PP, thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable, for your follow-up question. The PPP concept is a policy that this administration has adopted. This means that people at different levels of government, be it national level government, provincial or local government, have the right to venture into any mode, into that mode, if they think it works for them. So that can be applied, but for now, when it comes to construction of houses, what we have done is that we are not going to open a clinic, for example, that has no house, or a police post that has no house. That is also a new direction, or opening a clinic that has no lights, or a clinic that has no running water. So there are basic standards that have been set, that if you're going to open a clinic or a health post, a police post, or indeed any infrastructure which requires a housing, there should be at least a minimal house for staffing. So whether now you want to construct that house using a PP is a matter that any level of government must make their decision themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. We make progress. Next question, the Honorable Member for Gwembe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question 260.
The Acting Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Honourable Member of Parliament for Gwembe Parliamentary Constituency is asking the Minister of Energy the following questions. A, whether the Zambezi River Authority uses a quota system in the recruitment of human capital in top management positions for the riparian communities. B, if so, how many people in the riparian community have been employed in top management positions from January 2000 to July 2023? And C, if none, why? Our answer, Madam Speaker. A, no, the Zambezi River Authority does not use a quota system in the recruitment of human capital in top management positions for the riparian communities. Instead, it uses the point system for all positions at managerial level and top management level. The recruitment and selection process is done competitively and is based on the skill set and qualifications of any individuals who are nationals of Zambia or Zimbabwe. Therefore, all potential candidates from the riparian communities are free to vie for any position as when the authority advertises for such vacant positions. B, based on the response in A, B falls off. C, based on the response in A, C falls off. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions? The Honourable Member for Gwembe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister, thank you for the answers. Honourable Minister, as you are aware, these riparian communities, there are certain things and certain pronouncements and promises that were made during the construction of Lake Kariba. And one of them was that the riparian communities would be considered in as far as employment was concerned in these communities. But ever since, nothing has happened. Honourable Minister, what is happening and why is Zambezi Authority not considering those agreements that were made at that time. Thank you.
The Acting Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank the Honourable Member of Gwembe Parliamentary Constituency for that follow-up question. As I did allude to my answers earlier, there is no such agreement. The only agreement that is available is for the provision of certain services which were being undertaken under the Gwembe Trust Fund. And I'm aware the feelings of the people of Gwembe, and which we are pursuing to ensure that services are provided to those people who were displaced when the Kariba Dam was being built.
The Honourable Member for Sinazongwe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister, it's the policy of the new Dawn administration that wherever the company is operating from, people need to benefit. You are very much aware of how the people along the lake shores sacrifice for the land, for the formation of the dam. Now, when it comes to employment, a lot of issues arise, qualification and the likes. And even when interviews are being done, I don't believe an opportunity is given to our people who gave out the fertile land for the benefit of the entire country. You talk of CSR, Honorable Minister, it's very, very poor. There is nothing that our people are getting. Going forward, would you be of the idea as a government that some position should be reserved for the valley people? I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Acting Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm aware that this is a very emotive issue. We have listened to the honourable members of Parliament who are affected by this particular project in the valley. As government, we have taken note, we'll follow it up and see what can be done.
The last member, the Honourable Member for Lukasha.
Madam Speaker, I'm grateful for the opportunity to ask a follow-up question to the Acting Minister of Energy. Honourable Minister, considering that this utility, Zambezi River Authority, is jointly owned by Zambia and Zimbabwe, what mechanisms do we have to ensure that we don't over-employ citizens of one country compared to the other? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Acting Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as I indicated earlier, there is no quota system. But of course, we have taken into account the issues that have been raised by the honourable members of Parliament to ensure that there is equity in future.
Thank you. Next question, the Honourable Member for Kabwata.
I'm grateful, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. Question number 261.
The Honourable Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. Taengwa, MP for Kabwata, asked the Minister of Education, A, whether the government has any plans to introduce the game of pool as a sport in schools. B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. And C, if there are no plans, why? I wish to inform the House that A, the government has no immediate plans to introduce the game of pool as a sport in schools. And B, due to the response in Part A, Part B falls off. And C, there are no immediate plans as said because of the following reasons. School sports are co-curricular activities. Co-curricular activities are those activities outside the classroom but are closely related to learning experiences that take place in the classroom. Therefore, the selection of school sports is largely based on those activities that are closely related to curriculum subjects. Two, while government is aware that schools serve as a nursery for all sports. Some sports activities are termed extracurricular activities. Hence, careful and thoughtful consideration is given to the selection of what goes into school sports because, one, not all sporting activities qualify to be called co-curricular activities. Whatever goes on in school competes with the little time available. 3, schools sports are not only a form of co-curricular activities in school, other activities too are given a share of the limited time available. And lastly, school sports fall under Zambia School Sports Association, which in turn subscribes to a regional school sports association called Confederation of School Sports Association of Southern Africa, COSASA. The school sports feed into COSASA sports, which guides on the activities that should be at all competitions up to regional level. The question was a little bit of yes or no, but otherwise, if you still recall, the president encouraged sport, any form of sport in schools. Because if it was going to be like, yes, we have allowed, you allow today, tomorrow come with another question, are you allowing javelin or shot put or this? So all forms of sport are allowed in schools. So I guess you have CDF to go and buy pool. Yeah, you can go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Kabwata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, the reason why I came up with that question is because we have seen most of our learners in schools, they rush to these public places like bars, wanting to go and play the same sport. And that's the reason why we thought maybe it would be ideal for that sport to be introduced, because we don't want to end up having a generation of junkies who are going to just build their lifestyle in bars. However, I wanted to find out whether it's possible to revise the curriculum and consider this sport as one of the sports that should be introduced in the school sporting curriculum.
Thank you. The Minister of Education.
Like I said, we have extracurricular activities. So we don't need really to put it in the curriculum because there's nowhere where it is written there will be football. That's what I mean. Yeah. So we overload the curriculum if we say that. So that's why we have co-curricular and extracurricular. And because sport competes time in class, time outside class. But I agree with you to say that the kids, some of them want to go and play pool, and pool is only found in bars. So we'll draw them. So we don't really need, like we put in the curriculum that there shall be pool. That can be an extracurricular sport, if you like. Thank you.
Next question, the Honorable Member for Chubi.
To Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Water, Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, before I answer this question asked by the Chubi Member of Parliament, I took note of the message of condolences from the MP from Pika to our colleagues from the neighboring country, and I join him in conveying my condolences. But also I agree with him that our neighbors did not boo or harass the former president because he was a very dignified man. And it is important, I think, to leaders to check themselves so that they should earn the respect. But also to remind him that respect is the end, it's not forced. You can't go around begging people, forcing people to respect you. As regards the question, Madam Speaker,
Mr. Fube, Member of Parliament for Chubi, is asking the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation the following question. At A, whether the government has any plans to provide piped water to Kalamba Ward in Chubi Parliamentary constituency. At B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. At C, what the estimated cost of the project is. And at C, if there are no such plans, why? Madam Speaker, our response. At A, yes, government has plans to provide piped water to Katamba Ward in Chubi Parliamentary constituency. And B, that a contractor called Cashmore Construction Limited and general dealers was engaged in upgrading boreholes to piped water schemes under Lot 2 for the 21 piped water schemes in Northern Province and has already mobilized to Chubi District.
Order, honorable members on the left. Honorable Minister, you may continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And that the contractor has already mobilized to Chubi District to commence the implementation of the project. One piped water scheme has been allocated to Katamba Ward. The overall project, Madam Speaker, of upgrading boreholes to piped water schemes in Northern Province is expected to be completed by 21st August 2024. At C, that the estimated cost for the project is 640,953 kwacha, 0.303 ngwe. And Madam Speaker, based on the answers at A, B, and C, D falls off, as I've already indicated that government has plans to provide piped water to Katamba Ward in Chubi. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Chubi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Katamba Ward is one of the highly populated wards in Chubi. And among other factors that it has is that it has 28 boreholes. Out of those 28 boreholes, only 5 are functioning. And I heard the minister talked about 640. Katamba Ward has got 48 villages. And it's quite a big ward. Among them, Katamba Ward is also housing a good number of lodges. And it has got 2 big health facilities. One of it is the hospital, the other one is a health facility. So I am taken aback on why maybe government possibly cannot use the lake that is just on the, Katamba Ward is on the shore of Lake Bangweulu and has gone with the route of upgrading boreholes.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lunte, you've been standing at that corner for some time. Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the MP for Chubi for that supplementary question. Madam Speaker, I did indicate that we are upgrading the boreholes that initially were depending on hand pump to provide piped water scheme. And that was a question that was asked to me. But if the Member of Parliament is asking that we must build a treatment plant which should reticulate water in Chubi, I think that that is his job as Member of Parliament to lobby with government to ensure that such projects are embarked on. And I think we'll be willing as government to look into the future budget and allocate funds there. And first we'll have to do a feasibility study, and the resources allowing, I think we'll be able to consider putting up a treatment plant based on the results of the feasibility studies. But just to emphasize that the Member of Parliament must engage government and must be lobbying for for his people, so that we can consider that. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chubi.
Madam Speaker, the Minister said that one project has been worked on, which I agree, which is in rural ward. But he gave more of a general answer about winding up of such projects in Northern Province with the contractor, who is not yet in Katamba ward. I don't know, maybe if the Minister would be kind enough to give the people of Chubi the answer of when this contractor, who is supposed to do the upgrading of boreholes, is supposed to be in Katamba ward.
The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I might not indicate exactly when the contractor will be there, but the information I have is that the contractor has already mobilized for the project in Katamba ward, where they will be upgrading, I think, one piped water scheme. But in that contract, I want to just add here that the contractor is supposed to, under Lot 2, embark on upgrading of 21 boreholes in different parts. And this is a lot for which he has already mobilized, and it also includes Katamba ward. I may have to check in terms of when he'll be progressing in that direction. Fortunately, for the piped water schemes, Madam Speaker, they are not affected by, even if it was raining, they will not be affected. They'll still be able to work because it does not involve drilling of the borehole. The boreholes are already there. It's the issue of upgrading from hand pump dependent to piped water scheme. So let me check. I will engage the Member of Parliament in terms of when the contractor will be in that ward. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The last member, the Honorable Member for Lundazi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Water challenges are everywhere. Lundazi is not an exceptional. Asking on behalf of the people of Chilobi, Honorable Minister, the Member of Parliament has just informed you that out of those 23 boreholes, only 21 boreholes, only 5 are working. Honorable Minister, when doing the reticulation, are you also going to consider working on those boreholes which are not functional? I submit.
The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and let me also wish the Member of Parliament for Lundazi Happy Women's Day in advance, and also to thank her for that very good question. Madam Speaker, one of the activities that my ministry has embarked on is to ensure that all the non-functional boreholes are rehabilitated. We take note of the fact that quite a number of boreholes that were drilled in the past, and like she has said, and echoing the complaint by the Member of Parliament for Chilubi, it is true that we have a number of boreholes that have stopped working, obvious, because these are communal facilities, Madam Speaker, and day in, throughout the days, they are being used by the communities, so they are bound to give in. Now, what we normally do, Madam Speaker, just for the benefit of the MP for Lundazi, is that when we sink these boreholes, we also train communities. We appoint a committee, train the communities, so that the small repairs are able to be attended to by the communities. We also set up some shops in the communities, at least one point where some accessories are sourced from, are stocked and sourced from. So that's what we normally do in the communities. But if there are bigger repairs, we go back as a ministry through our district officers to ensure that repairs are done. So, yes, we will be able to undertake the repairs of all the non-functional boreholes. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Next question. The Honorable Member from Fue.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Question number 263.
The Acting Minister of Technology and Science.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ms. Mavonga, Fuwe constituency, asks the Minister of Technology and Science, A, whether government is aware that for the past 3 weeks there has been no mobile network connectivity in Muwere area in Fuwe parliamentary constituency. B, if so, what measures are being taken to restore connectivity in the area? And C, what the cause of the network interruption is. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that A, the government is aware that Muwere area of Fuwe parliamentary constituency has been experiencing intermittent mobile network connectivity. The House may wish to note that Muwere Tower was built under Phase 1 of the Universal Access and Service in the year 2014. Therefore, the intermittent mobile connectivity being experienced in the area is being caused by the degeneration of batteries in the power backup system, resulting in limited coverage after sunset. B, the government, through the regulator ZICTA, has commenced the procurement of new batteries to replace all the 40 ones across the affected areas and sites throughout the country, including Mwere area in Fuwe parliamentary constituency. As at Friday, 1st December 2023, the House may wish to note that the contractor engaged to replace the batteries had confirmed that the first consignment of batteries was delivered to the local warehouse in Osaka. In this respect, ZECTA commenced the replacement of the batteries in affected areas and sites in the second week of December 2023, and the connectivity in Mwele area in Fuwe parliamentary constituency was restored. C, as stated in Part A of the response, the cause of the interruption was due to 40 batteries in the power backup system on the communication tower that serves the area. The network outages are prominent from the evening to sunrise, as the source of power is solar energy. With the 40 battery cells, the batteries are not able to store power, resulting in a total outage of power. At optimal operation of batteries, the batteries are capable of sustaining power throughout the night. Madam Speaker, I had to find out this morning because this response was somewhere in December. This morning, the government acknowledges that the towers installed in Phase 1 in 2014 are having intermittent connectivity throughout the country. Therefore, my ministry, under the Universal Access and Service Fund program, has embarked on the program to replace those old towers with more sustainable and reliable connectivity, including Mwele area in Fuwe parliamentary constituency. Madam Speaker, thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions? The Honourable Member from Fuwe.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honourable Minister, for the response. Honourable Minister, I want to confirm that the interruptions are still going on, and even as we speak. And what happens is sometimes network goes from 17 hours up to the following 9 hours the following day. I wanted to ask Honourable Minister what you are going to do to ensure that the quality of service for all existing towers is regulated. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The Honourable Acting Minister of Technology and Science.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I did really allude to what she's saying now. I said that what we have discovered is that even if we have those new batteries, the towers are old. So through this program, I think it is countrywide now, we'll try and install new towers. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Lukasha.
I'm grateful, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to ask the Minister this question. Minister, I just want to find out if in the interactions with this contractor or supplier, government has entered into a service level agreement with them for maintenance of these batteries to be supplied. Because my take is that just supplying the batteries without maintaining them might lead to a repeat of the same problem of interruptions. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Technology and Science.
Actually, Madam Speaker, what I was trying to say was that the batteries, yes, were new, but we still are receiving intermittent connectivity. So we have now realized that it is actually the towers themselves that need repair, and not the battery. Thank you.
The Honourable Member from Fue.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The Minister has mentioned that they are going to start installing new towers. I wanted to find out when they are going to start the process, because, Madam Speaker, under 2023, the people of Mwele and Mfue parliamentary constituents were promised 3 towers which have not been put. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Technology and Science.
The towers which were promised will certainly come. You know the process of procurement. I think we have just hastened to do these things for the whole country and not only Mwele. But we can as well wait a little bit. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Shiwangandu.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. I know we can understand the Honourable Minister. I think he's carrying 3 jackets. I don't know how many are more 3 ministers. So it's maybe difficult to keep it up. Honourable Minister, you say you are going to replace the old towers with new ones. My question is, who are the implementers of that program? Because we have got only Zamtel or Infratel. Are you able to tell us who is going to do specifically in Fue constituency? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Technology and Science.
Madam Speaker, my friend thinks I'm tired. I can even carry 6 ministries. Yeah. When you ask that question, it's not connected to this. So I haven't seen anything here to Infratel or what. The only thing that I said was about Zicta, who is a regulator, had commenced at that time. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Kawambwa.
Madam Speaker, I do as well sympathize with the Honourable Minister. Education is too big. Now load him with infrastructure and load him with communication towers. It's a challenge. Madam Speaker, through you, can the Honourable Minister please be categorical? He says the problem is that the towers are the ones which are faulty. How can that be? Because and they'll be replaced. How can that be, Honourable Minister? Because that we know that some of towers remain even there for a long, long time. And there is no way a tower would expire, unless he's saying the towers have come to the end of their lifespan. I like to believe there's something that is not telling us, and not the towers. The towers cannot be 40 when they are standing, unless they've flipped over, unless they've tilted. But if the towers are in their position when they were first erected, I do not see a tower being 40 and it fails to provide the service. Honourable Minister, please clarify and add more meat to this particular issue. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Please, let's not pity the minister, because when they are told to act, I believe they are prepared for the assignment. So no need of pitying the minister. They are prepared. They should be prepared. There is an indication for a point of order before the Honourable Minister comes in. The Honourable Member for Shiwangandu, what is your point of order?
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. And following your able guidance that they need to be prepared,
Madam Speaker, we all know that ZICTA is a regulator, and they are operators. And for government, it's Zamtel or the new entity called Afritel. So my question to him was simple. Who is going to implement now that technical, not following the technical issue that my colleague has raised, who is going to replace these towers between those institutions that work under government? That was my question, Madam Speaker. So if the Honorable Minister is really prepared and he's got the energy to go all the way, he must have this information on his fingertips.
Order.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Did you cite the standing order?
Prime B, Madam Speaker.
Okay.
Factor.
The way I've
Submissions of
seen this scenario or situation which we've landed ourselves into, we have sort of moved away from the original question. The original question is straightforward. And if we just stick to the question, I think those other questions that have now started coming up are not supposed to be part and parcel of this question. So please, my guide is, let's always stick to the question that is there on the order paper. If we've got other questions that you think are very important, I think there's room to submit another question. So I'll ask the Honorable Minister to respond to the Honorable Member for Kawambwa.
Honorable Member for Kawambwa is talking about something else. Because this, I was advised by engineers, qualified ones. So if you want to argue with the engineers, not here. You can come to the office and argue with the engineers. Thank you.
The last member, the Honorable Member for Mukushi South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, you have indicated that most of these towers have overstayed and that they need to be replaced countrywide. Some of the towers were made 3, 4, 5 years ago. What is the defect liability period?
The Honorable Minister of, the Acting Minister of Technology and Science.
The ones that I was talking about were installed in 2014. This is 2024. 2024 minus 2014. It's more than 10 years.
Next question, the Honorable Member from Pika.
My question has been overtaken by events, Madam Speaker.
We make progress. Next question, the Honorable Member for Kwacha.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The people of Kwacha constituents have the pleasure to ask question 265. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Youth, Sport and Arts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member for Pika, Mr. Kapianga.
We are on 265. Question number 265.
Number for Kwacha?
No. Yes, for Kwacha.
Kwacha. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you. And I want to thank Honorable Member for that gesture. Thank you very much. Madam Speaker, before I answer this question, I want to take advantage of this opportunity to maybe tell all members of Parliament who may find themselves in a similar situation when it came to the issue of Fingin. Because when I was seated here, I think I received about 2 or 3 members of Parliament complaining about
those youths who have paid the 200 kwachas and they have never undergone any training, to maybe submit those lists to my office so that we can now see how best we can try to resolve that particular issue. Coming to the question, Madam Speaker, Honorable Mlenga Charles for Kwacha is asking the Minister of Youth, Sport and Arts whether the government is aware of the increase in drug abuse among adolescents in Kwacha parliamentary constituency. And in B, if so, what measures are being taken to curb the vice so as to prevent moral decay among the youths? Our response, Madam Speaker, the area member of Parliament may wish to note that the government through the Kitwe District Commissioner's Office is aware of the increase in drug abuse among adolescents and in Kitwe District, which includes Kwacha parliamentary constituency. And in B, Madam Speaker, government has put in place measures to curb moral decay, including drug abuse among the youth, which stand to benefit the youth of Kwacha constituency. And in order to comprehensively address alcohol, drug and substance abuse among the youth, the government has provided legal and policy framework to support prevention programs on drug abuse among the youth through the following. Number one, the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act number 35 of 2021. Number two, the National Policy on Drug and Substance Control. Number three, the National Health Policy. And number four, the National Alcohol Policy of 2018. Furthermore, Madam Speaker, through the Drug Enforcement Commission, government undertakes various programs to address the issues of drug abuse that include awareness activities undertaken including radio programs, community outreach, counseling and training workshops. In addition, Madam Speaker, government with the African Union, the Minister of Health, Minister of Youth, Sport and Arts, and other stakeholders held a very high-level awareness forum on drug and alcohol abuse, and this was to raise awareness on the dangers and map out strategies on how to address the problem. This was held at Mulungushi International Conference Center in October 2023. The Ministry of Youth, Sport and Arts, Madam Speaker, is further actively supporting efforts in addressing drug abuse among the youth. And the ministry, through the National Olympics Committee of Zambia, for instance, the National Sports Council of Zambia, Drug Enforcement Commission, and other institutions, has established an interim national anti-doping organization which spearheads programs and activities aimed at eliminating doping in sport that include education and sensitization programs. Additionally, the government undertakes in competition and out of competition testing among athletes to ensure athletes play true. In regard to Kwacha, Madam Speaker, through the Office of the District Commissioner, as I said earlier, working in collaboration with the following institutions, the Ministry of Health, Drug Enforcement Commission implements the following programs to curb drug abuse among the youth. Number one, by conducting sensitizations on drug and alcohol abuse. Number two, conducting counseling sessions to the youth that abuse drugs and alcohol. Number three, encouraging parents to send their children to school and take advantage of the free education policy. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Supplementary questions. The Honourable Member for Kwacha.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honourable Minister, for the valuable response that you've made on the concerns raised by the people of Kwacha constituents regarding the subject matter under discussion. Now, Honorable Minister, the problem of drug abuse amongst the youths in Kwacha constituency is quite huge, and it has reached alarming levels, such that it may pose a great danger to the community in terms of degradation on morals if left unchecked. One of the major reasons.
Honorable Member, as the time is 12:55 hours, I interrupt the proceedings and business stands adjourned. Day for resumption of business.
On Tuesday, Madam Speaker.
Business to resume next Tuesday. The House is now adjourned.
Thank you so much. You're still watching Parliamentary television, and business has been interrupted. And at the time business was being interrupted, Mr. Mulenga Kwacha, Member of Parliament, was about to pose a follow-up question to the Minister of Youth and Sport Arts.
So the House has adjourned till next week on Tuesday, and the Member of Parliament for Kwacha will continue asking follow-up questions when that question comes up for consideration. Let's quickly look at what has been considered on the floor of the House, and business resumed at 09 hours today. Madam Speaker did make 3 announcements, and the first announcement, Madam Speaker did inform the House that on Tuesday, 27th of February 2024, she directed our Honored Vice President to render a ministerial statement on the measures the government is taking to address the hunger situation in the country. The directive followed a matter of urgent public importance, which was raised by Mr. Philemon Twasa, Member of Parliament for Kasenengwa Parliamentary Constituency.
So the ministerial statement was scheduled for today, Friday, 1st March 2024. However, due to some unforeseen circumstances, the statement will be issued on Tuesday, 5th March 2024.
The second announcement that Madam Speaker made was to inform the House that the International Women's Day will be commemorated on Friday, 8th March 2024. This day is usually a momentous occasion meant to reflect on the progress made in advancing the rights and opportunities of women and girls worldwide. The theme for this year's commemoration is Invest in Women and Girls, Accelerate Progress. And in celebrating this significant day, Madam Speaker extended a warm invitation to all female members of Parliament to join her for a special breakfast meeting at the Speaker's Lodge on Wednesday, 6th March 2024 at 09:30 hours. The meeting aims to provide a platform to discuss an array of issues affecting female parliamentarians. She urged all female members of Parliament to attend this very important meeting.
And in the last announcement, Madam Speaker did remind the House that on Friday, 16th February 2024, she did inform the House that an orientation meeting for all members had been scheduled for Monday, 19th February 2024. The objective of the meeting was to create awareness about the Institute.
Following the meeting, it has been brought to her attention that a good number of honourable members were unable to attend because they were attending parliamentary committee meetings that were taking place at the same time.
She did state that noting the interest shown by honourable members, and also in order to allow as many members as possible input in the process, she told the House that the second and final meeting will be held on Monday, 4th March 2024, starting at 09:30 hours. The login credentials will be made available in due course. So Madam Speaker did urge all members who failed to participate in the first meeting to do so on a voluntary basis.
After those 3 announcements, the House did proceed to consider ministerial statement, and Madam Speaker did permit The Minister of Health rendered a ministerial statement, and this statement was on the cholera outbreak in Zambia. And like I mentioned, it was presented by the Minister of Health, that's Honorable Sylvia Masebo MP. And she did begin by saying that the SADC region has been battling cholera with 73% of all cholera cases on the African continent being reported from the SADC region. Currently, Zambia, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Eswatini, DRC, South Africa and Mozambique have reported cholera outbreaks and have been doing everything possible to halt and stop the spread of cholera so that it does not disrupt lives and livelihood. The effect of climate change on diseases has had profound effects on Zambia from time of COVID-19, then anthrax and now cholera. The diseases are very closely linked to periods of drought with extreme high temperatures and periods of floods.
So the minister did say that since 18th October 2023, when 2 cholera cases were reported in Kanyama constituency, the government, the country did experience an unfortunate surge of cholera cases affecting 71 districts. This posed a significant threat to the health of the people of Zambia.
The minister further disclosed that as of today, 1st March, as of yesterday, 29th February 2024, a total of 20,477 cumulative cases had been recorded across the country, with 19,650 discharges and 698 deaths. 60% of these deaths have been happening in communities, and people have been brought in dead. Majority of these who died in the facilities are the people who did not report early to the facility and died within minutes of admission.
So the minister did add that through government dedication and resolve to control the outbreak, government was able to appreciate that its joint work is showing improved results and admissions. Therefore, she added that the cases have reduced from the peak of 1,187 a day in the second week of January this year to now under 100 admissions a day. This instead a downward trend has been observed even in the cholera epicenter of Lusaka, where the country has been recording less than 50 new cases being reflected by the witnessed 0 admissions into the largest admissions center, the Heroes Cholera Treatment Center, which has not recorded a case for the past 7 days. This is extremely remarkable and unprecedented.
And lastly, the minister said that, reiterated that cholera is not yet over. It is still present with us, and without concerted multi-sectoral effort in the areas of water, sanitation and hygiene, these outbreaks may be seen again in the coming years. And she made a clarion call to members of parliament to engage their communities and put the prioritized development of water and sanitation facilities in communities. And we did see quite a number of members of parliament posing follow-up questions, seeking clarity from the Minister of Health on the update of the cholera situation and the measures that government is putting in place to curb the scourge. Let's now look at what else was considered on today's order paper on the floor of the House.
So we had honor the Vice President's question time, and we saw a number of members of Parliament who did pose questions of policy direction to the Vice President. And thereafter, the House did consider 5 questions for oral answer under Standing Order 74. So question 256 came from Mr. Andrew Tayengwa, who is Kabwata constituency member of Parliament. He did direct his question to the Minister of Health. He wanted to find out whether the public health nursing course is classified as a specialist course, and B, if not classified as such, why. So in response, the minister did say that it can only be classified as a specialist at postgraduate level. And in answering part B, she did repeat herself to say it is an education and training program and can only be classified at a postgraduate level.
Question 262 came from Chubi Member of Parliament, Mr. Fube, and this question was directed to the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation. The member wanted to find out whether the government has any plans to provide piped water to Katamba Ward in Chubi Parliamentary constituency. According to the Minister's response, said yes, plans are underway to provide water or piped water to Katamba Ward in Chubi Parliamentary constituency. If so, when the plans will be implemented. It did say that a Cashmore contractor has been engaged and has mobilized to the district to start the project. What the estimated cost of the project is, according to the minister's response, said that a total amounting to 640,953 ngwe is the total project of the amount to the project. And if there are no such plans, why? Because of the response in B, question D did not apply.
So the other question comes from Mr. Sidney Mushanga, Wacha constituency member of parliament. He directed this question to the Minister of Youth, Sport and Arts. He wanted to find out whether the government had authorized the Finjen Money Genius group to train the youths across the country as financial counselors. In B, if so, how many youths were targeted in each constituency? C, whether the candidates were required to pay enrollment fees, and D, if so, how much was paid. So in response, the minister did say that yes, indeed, government had authorized the Finjen Money Genius Group to train the youths across the country as financial counselors. In answering part B of the question, the minister did say that 25,000 youths were targeted across the country. However, he did add that the target for each constituency was not uniform. In answering C, whether the candidates were required to pay enrollment fees, the minister did say that did affirm to the fact that the youths were required to pay in order for them to undergo financial training.
So those are some of the questions that were tackled on the floor of the House. We had a total number of 10 questions, and one question, question 264, was not considered because the Member of Parliament from Pika, Mr. Francis Kapyanga, cited that his question has been overtaken by events. So 9 questions have been tackled on today's order paper. On behalf of my colleagues, and before we leave, it's a weekend. What are the plans, Joe?
The plans,
Friday.
Friday, tomorrow I'll be watching soccer. You know where soccer fans.
Oh, okay.
Right.
MPs are playing with diplomats. Are you attending tomorrow in the showgrounds?
I'll be there tomorrow at the showgrounds.
All
I'm
right.
just going to see how they showcase their talents.
All right, so if you are in Lusaka and you happen to have free time, you can spare your time and just be part and parcel and support your lawmakers that will be taking on diplomats at the showgrounds in the main arena. The soccer match starts at 14 hours tomorrow, which is a Saturday. On behalf of Jason Manda, Chola Kaum, and indeed not forgetting Joa Katama, my name is Paulson Tindovi. I'd like to wish you an incident-free weekend and keep watching Parliament Television. Thank you so much for your time.
Continue to spread love this February with Topstar and enjoy affordable entertainment. For a monthly